Hey Pisces, I need to talk to you about something that's been coming through in the energy lately, and honestly, this reading has been revealing layers I wasn't entirely expecting. So grab your tea or coffee, get comfortable, because we're going to sit with this for a bit. You know those moments when you can just feel someone's energy directed at you, even from a distance? Like that prickly sensation at the back of your neck, that heaviness that settles in your chest for no apparent reason? Yeah, that's what we're addressing today. There's a feminine energy around you, and I'm not going to sugarcoat this. She's harboring some seriously intense feelings toward you. We're talking about envy that's morphed into something much darker, something that's actually eating away at her from the inside out. But here's what's fascinating about this reading and why I really wanted to sit down and share this with you. While she's over there consumed by jealousy and resentment, the universe is literally lining up something so powerful for you that no amount of negativity from her or anyone else can touch it. It's like watching someone try to blow out the sun with their breath. Futile, right? That's exactly what's happening here. This reading is one of those moments where everything clicked into place as I was pulling cards, and I thought, Pisces needs to hear this. Not because you should be scared or worried, but because you deserve to understand what's really happening behind the scenes while you're out here just trying to live your life. So let me walk you through what came up. I pulled cards specifically asking about this energy of jealousy around you, what's really driving it, what she's been trying to do about it, and most importantly, what the universe has planned that she absolutely cannot interfere with. And Pisces, what came through was absolutely fascinating. The first card that came forward was the Page of Wands. And when I saw this, I literally had to pause because it was such a perfect representation of what this woman sees when she looks at you. The Page of Wands is that fresh, enthusiastic energy. It's the person who's just discovered their passion, who's stepping into something new with this infectious excitement and authenticity. It's that childlike wonder combined with genuine creative fire. This is how she perceives you, Pisces. And here's the thing that's tearing her apart. You're not faking it. She can see that your enthusiasm is real, that your joy is authentic, that when opportunities come to you, you receive them with genuine gratitude and excitement. The Page of Wands doesn't scheme or calculate, they just are. They just exist in this space of openness and possibility, and good things naturally gravitate toward that energy. For some of you, this might be manifesting as a new career direction you've recently gotten excited about. Maybe you've started a side project or discovered a passion that lights you up, and people are actually responding to it positively. You're getting encouragement, maybe some unexpected opportunities are opening up, and you're approaching it all with this humble, genuine enthusiasm. You're not out here bragging or showing off. You're just authentically excited about what you're creating or where you're heading. For others, this Page of Wands energy might be showing up in your personal life. Maybe you've been approached by someone romantically, or you're entering a new phase of an existing relationship where things feel fresh and exciting again. You've got this glow about you, this renewed sense of hope and possibility, and it shows. People can see it in how you carry yourself, how you talk about your future, how you engage with the world around you. What's absolutely killing this woman, and I mean that quite literally in terms of how it's affecting her internally, is that she cannot find a single thing to criticize about how you're receiving your blessings. You're not being arrogant. You're not rubbing anything in anyone's face. You're just genuinely happy and excited about what's unfolding in your life. And that authenticity, that's what makes her jealousy so much worse, because she can't even justify her hatred by painting you as someone who's full of themselves. The Page of Wands also tells me that some of you are in a learning phase right now, maybe taking a course, developing a new skill, or exploring a field that's completely different from what you've done before. And you're good at it. Not in an arrogant way, but in that natural, flowing way, where it's obvious you found something that aligns with who you are. This woman has been watching you discover this alignment, and it's like watching someone find treasure in their own backyard while she's been digging holes everywhere else and coming up empty. There's also this element with the Page of Wands where messages are coming your way. Good news, exciting proposals, invitations to participate in things that genuinely interest you. And she's aware of this somehow. Whether you share things on social media, or there are mutual connections who mention things, or she's just that person who keeps tabs on you through various channels, she knows that good things are flowing toward you. And each piece of good news that reaches her ears about you is like another drop of poison in her system. What's particularly interesting about the Page of Wands appearing first is that it represents the very beginning of something. This is not even the full manifestation of what's coming for you. This is just the beginning. You're at the starting line of something significant, and already she can't handle it. Imagine how she's going to feel when you're actually running full speed ahead toward your goals and dreams. The page eventually becomes the knight, then the queen, then the king. You're still in the early stages of this journey, and already her envy is at a level where it's consuming her daily thoughts. I also want you to understand something about the Page of Wands energy. It's protected by its own innocence and authenticity. There's a purity to this card that actually acts as a shield against negativity. When you're operating from a place of genuine excitement and honest enthusiasm, when you're not trying to make anyone jealous or prove anything to anyone, that energy creates a natural barrier against other people's ill intentions. It's like negativity just slides right off because there's nothing for it to stick to. You're not engaging in competition, you're not playing games, you're just being authentically you, and that authenticity is actually your protection. Some of you might be thinking, but I haven't really done anything that special. Why would anyone be this jealous? And that's exactly the point. You don't have to do anything extraordinary to trigger this kind of envy in someone who's already predisposed to jealousy. Your mere existence in a state of contentment and forward movement is enough. Because what she wants isn't actually what you have. What she wants is to feel the way you feel. She wants that internal peace, that genuine excitement about life, that sense of alignment and possibility. But she doesn't know how to cultivate that within herself. So she's fixated on you instead, convinced that somehow your joy is the reason for her misery. The Page of Wands also carries a message about staying true to your path, regardless of who's watching or what their opinions might be. This card is encouraging you to maintain that childlike wonder, that openness to new experiences, that willingness to try things even if you might fail, because that's where your power lies, not in being perfect or impressive, but in being willing to show up authentically and give things your genuine effort. And that's precisely what she cannot replicate, no matter how hard she tries. Now, the second card that came through was the Tower, and when this appeared, I actually felt a chill. Because the Tower is not a gentle card. It's the card of sudden upheaval, of structures crumbling, of lightning strikes that shatter everything you thought was stable and secure. And in this context, the Tower is not about you. This is about her. This is about what's happening in her world, in her psyche, as a direct result of the toxic energy she's been directing toward you. The Tower represents a collapse that's absolutely inevitable. You cannot build a life on a foundation of jealousy, resentment, and hatred without eventually experiencing a catastrophic fall. It's not possible. Those emotions are like termites eating away at the support beams of someone's existence. On the surface, things might look okay for a while, but underneath, everything is rotting, weakening, becoming increasingly unstable. And then one day, seemingly out of nowhere, but really as the result of cumulative damage, everything comes crashing down. What's fascinating about the Tower in this position is that it's showing me this woman is already in her Tower moment. She's already experiencing the beginning tremors of this collapse. Her obsession with you, her constant monitoring of your life, her mental and emotional energy spent on resenting you, it's taking a toll that's becoming increasingly visible. Maybe not to everyone, but to those who are close to her, they're starting to notice something is off. She's more irritable, more negative, less present in her own life because she's so consumed with yours. The Tower often comes when someone has been ignoring warning signs, when they've been building their sense of self or their happiness on something fundamentally unsound. In her case, she's been trying to feel better about herself by diminishing you in her mind, by finding fault with you, by hoping for your failure. That's a terrible foundation for self-esteem. It's like trying to build a house on quicksand. And now, The universe is basically saying, okay, this structure you've built out of negativity, it's coming down. It has to come down because it was never real, it was never stable, and it was always destined to collapse. For some of you, this tower moment for her might manifest as a very public or visible setback in her life. Maybe something she's been working toward falls through. Maybe a relationship she's in starts to crumble. Maybe professionally, things start going wrong in ways she can't explain or fix. And here's where karma gets interesting. These aren't random punishments from the universe. These are natural consequences of someone who's been putting negative, destructive energy into the world. When you spend your days consumed with jealousy and resentment, you're not present for your own blessings. You're not nurturing your own opportunities. You're not building anything positive in your own life. And eventually that neglect catches up with you. The tower is also about truth being revealed. Structures built on lies or deception cannot stand. And I'm getting that this woman has been presenting a certain image to the world while harboring these intensely negative feelings about you privately. She might be someone who acts friendly to your face or who presents herself as successful and content on social media, but internally, she's seething. The tower suggests that this facade is going to crack. People are going to start seeing through her performance. The mask is going to slip, and when it does, it's going to be obvious and uncomfortable. What I find really powerful about the tower appearing here is that it's confirmation that you don't need to do anything about this situation. You don't need to confront her. You don't need to call her out. You don't need to defend yourself or prove anything. The universe has its own way of handling people who operate from a place of malicious envy, and that way is to let them self-destruct. Because that's what the tower is, a self-destruction that was inevitable from the moment someone chose to build their emotional world on toxic foundations. There's also an element of the tower that speaks to sudden realization, that lightning bolt moment where everything becomes clear. She might have a moment where she suddenly sees how much time and energy she's wasted on resenting you, how much of her own life she's missed because she was too busy watching yours. And that realization, it's going to be brutal. It's going to be one of those moments where she looks around at the rubble of what her life has become and understands, really understands, that she did this to herself. No one else is to blame. Her jealousy was her choice. Her focus on you was her choice. And the consequences of those choices are now her reality. For you, Pisces, the tower in this context is actually incredibly liberating because it's telling you that this negative energy that's been directed at you, it's neutralizing itself. It's collapsing under its own weight. You don't have to carry the burden of her jealousy. You don't have to modify your behavior or dim your light to make her feel more comfortable. The universe is handling this, and it's handling it in a way that's actually teaching her a profound lesson about the dangers of letting envy consume you. I'm also sensing that some of you have already witnessed small signs of this tower energy in her life. Maybe you've heard through mutual connections that things aren't going well for her. Maybe you've noticed her social media presence has changed, become more erratic or defensive or desperate. These are the early warning signs of a larger collapse that's underway. And again, this isn't something to celebrate or gloat about. This is just the natural order of things reasserting itself. People who put negative energy into the universe eventually have that energy returned to them, transformed into lessons they need to learn. The third card is Two of Pentacles, and this one made me smile a bit because it's such a perfect description of what you've actually been doing that has her so upset. The Two of Pentacles is the juggling card. It's about balance, adaptability, managing multiple priorities, and doing it all with a certain grace and flexibility. This is you, Pisces. This is what she sees when she looks at your life, and it drives her absolutely crazy because you make it look easy. Here's what I'm picking up with the Two of Pentacles. You've been navigating some genuinely complex situations lately. Maybe you're balancing work and personal life in new ways. Maybe you're managing financial responsibilities while also investing in yourself and your dreams. Maybe you're juggling relationships, family obligations, personal goals, and somehow you're keeping all these balls in the air without dropping them or having a complete meltdown. And from the outside, you make it look effortless. That effortlessness is what she cannot stand, because I guarantee you she's struggling with her own juggling act. She's dropping balls left and right. She's stressed and overwhelmed and barely managing to keep things together. And then she looks at you and you're handling similar or even more complex situations with this fluid adaptability, and it makes her feel inadequate by comparison. Not because you're trying to make her feel that way, but because her own insecurities are magnified when she witnesses someone handling with grace what she's struggling to manage. The Two of Pentacles also speaks to financial flow, and I'm getting that money has been moving in your life in positive ways. Not necessarily huge windfalls, but a steady, manageable flow. Maybe you got a raise or found a way to earn extra income. Maybe you paid off a debt or made a smart investment. Maybe you're just managing your resources better and feeling more financially stable than you have in a while. And somehow she knows about this. She's aware that you're doing okay financially, that you're not struggling in the ways she perhaps hoped you would be. There's also an element with the Two of Pentacles of being able to adapt to change quickly. Life throws you a curveball, and instead of falling apart, you adjust. You pivot, you find a new approach. This adaptability is a superpower, Pisces, and it's one that not everyone possesses. Some people are rigid. When things don't go according to plan, they crumble. But you bend like a willow in the wind, you find new paths, you make adjustments without losing sight of your ultimate goals. And this woman has been watching you do this, probably multiple times, and each time you successfully navigate a challenge she thought would break you, her jealousy intensifies. The Two of Pentacles is also about enjoying the journey despite the challenges. There's a playfulness to this card, a sense of someone who's found a way to not just survive, but to actually find moments of joy and fun, even while managing a lot. You laugh at yourself when you mess up. You celebrate small victories. You maintain a sense of humor about life's ups and downs. And that attitude, that's rare, and it's beautiful, and it's absolutely infuriating to someone who takes everything too seriously and feels burdened by every little thing. What's particularly relevant about the Two of Pentacles in this reading is that it shows you're in a state of dynamic balance right now. Things might not be perfect or settled, but you're handling the fluctuations. You're rolling with the changes. You're staying on your feet even when the ground beneath you shifts. This is not someone who's static or stuck. This is someone who's moving, adapting, evolving, and doing it with a certain elegance that makes it look easier than it actually is. I'm also getting with this card that you've recently made some smart decisions about how to allocate your time and energy. Maybe you've set better boundaries. Maybe you've said no to things that don't serve you so you can say yes to things that do. Maybe you've figured out a system or routine that actually works for your lifestyle. These might seem like small things to you, but to someone watching from the outside with envious eyes, these are victories that highlight her own inability to get her life in order. The Two of Pentacles can also indicate that you're preparing for or in the early stages of a financial improvement or opportunity that requires some initial juggling, but will ultimately stabilize at a higher level. Maybe you're starting a side hustle that requires balancing with your main job. Maybe you're in training for a new position that's going to pay better. Maybe you're managing an investment or project that hasn't fully paid off yet, but shows serious promise. She can sense that you're building towards something, and she desperately wants it to fail because if it succeeds, the gap between your life and hers is going to widen even further. The fourth card that came through is the Hermit. And this is where things get really interesting because the Hermit is about wisdom, introspection, and inner light. This card is telling me that what's coming to you, this powerful thing she cannot interfere with, is deeply connected to your own inner development and spiritual growth. The Hermit represents someone who has done the work, someone who has spent time in reflection, who has looked within, who has cultivated wisdom and understanding through personal experience and honest self-examination. Pisces, you've been doing inner work, maybe not in an obvious public way. Maybe you haven't been posting about your spiritual journey on social media or telling everyone about your therapy sessions or personal revelations, but you've been going within. You've been asking yourself hard questions. You've been facing parts of yourself that weren't easy to face. You've been growing in ways that aren't immediately visible to others, but are fundamentally transforming who you are at your core. The Hermit also represents a guide, a teacher, someone whose wisdom comes from lived experience. What's coming to you is connected to this journey you've been on. The universe is about to recognize and reward the inner work you've done by placing you in a position where your wisdom and insight are needed and valued. This might manifest as a mentorship opportunity, a teaching role, a position where your advice and guidance become sought after. For some of you, this might be more informal, people in your life starting to come to you with their problems because they recognize there's a depth to you, a groundedness, a wisdom that they need. What's absolutely killing this jealous woman is that she can sense you've changed, you've evolved, but she can't understand how or why because she hasn't been willing to do her own inner work. She's been too busy looking outward, comparing herself to others, resenting people she perceives as having it better. She hasn't looked within. She hasn't examined her own patterns, her own wounds, her own responsibility for her circumstances. And so when she looks at you and sees this quiet confidence, this groundedness, this sense of someone who knows themselves, it's like looking at something completely foreign and unreachable. The Hermit also speaks to a period of solitude that was necessary and productive. Some of you pulled back from social situations for a while. Maybe you took a break from dating or from certain friendships that weren't serving you. Maybe you spent more time alone, not because you were lonely, but because you needed that space to think, to process, to reconnect with yourself. And that time wasn't wasted. That time was necessary. It was during that period of withdrawal that you gained clarity about what you actually want from life, what your values are, what you're no longer willing to tolerate. This woman, if she's aware that you pulled back socially for a while, probably thought you were struggling or failing or isolated in a negative way. She might have felt a sick sense of satisfaction thinking you were alone and unhappy. But the Hermit reveals the truth. You were on a mountaintop, metaphorically speaking, gaining perspective and wisdom that's now going to serve you tremendously moving forward. Your isolation was not weakness, it was strength. It was intentional, even if you didn't fully realize it at the time. The Hermit carrying a lantern is such a powerful image in this context. You've found your own inner light. You've discovered that you don't need external validation or approval to know your worth. You've learned to trust your own inner guidance. And that light you're carrying, it's going to illuminate the path forward, not just for you, but for others who are meant to walk with you or learn from you. This is the powerful thing that's coming that she cannot stop. She cannot dim your inner light. She cannot take away the wisdom you've earned. She cannot prevent you from stepping into a role as someone who guides and inspires others. I'm also getting with the Hermit that some of you are being called to share your knowledge or experience in some way. Maybe writing, speaking, teaching, counseling, coaching, something where what you've learned through your own journey becomes valuable to others. This is not about being perfect or having all the answers. The Hermit doesn't claim to know everything, but they know what they know deeply and authentically, and they're willing to share that light with others who are searching in the darkness. The fifth card is King of Cups, and oh Pisces, this is beautiful. The King of Cups is mastery over emotions. This is someone who feels deeply, just like you naturally do as a Pisces, but who has learned to not be controlled or overwhelmed by those feelings. The King of Cups has emotional intelligence, maturity, compassion for others, and the ability to remain calm and centered, even when the emotional seas around them are stormy. This card is telling me that part of what's coming for you is a level of emotional mastery you haven't experienced before. You're stepping into a version of yourself that can hold space for intense emotions, yours and others, without being destabilized. You're becoming someone who can be compassionate without being consumed by others' pain. Someone who can be loving without being taken advantage of. Someone who can feel everything and still maintain your center, your clarity, your ability to make wise decisions. The King of Cups often represents a mature, masculine energy, and in this reading, I'm getting a couple of possible interpretations. For some of you, there might be a man coming into your life who embodies these King of Cups qualities. Someone emotionally mature, compassionate, possibly in a healing or helping profession, someone who sees and appreciates your depth and sensitivity. This would be someone who doesn't play games, who communicates clearly, who's done his own emotional work, and is ready for something real and meaningful. But more broadly, I think the King of Cups is representing you stepping into this energy yourself. Regardless of your gender, you're embodying these King of Cups qualities. You're becoming the person who stays calm in crisis, the person who can mediate conflicts because you can see and validate multiple perspectives, the person who leads with empathy but doesn't let people walk all over you. This is powerful, Pisces. This is leadership of an emotional and spiritual kind. What this jealous woman sees and absolutely cannot stand is that you're becoming more of who you truly are instead of less. Usually, when people face challenges or negativity from others, they contract. They become smaller, more defensive, more closed off. But you're doing the opposite. You're expanding. You're becoming more open-hearted, more confident in your sensitivity, more willing to show up authentically. And she cannot understand this because in her world, challenges make you bitter and closed off. But you're proof that challenges can actually make you more compassionate and wiser and more beautiful. The King of Cups also speaks to creative and intuitive gifts coming to fruition. Your psychic abilities, your artistic talents, your ability to understand and express complex emotions, these are all being elevated to a new level. Some of you are going to start using these gifts professionally or more publicly. Others will simply notice that your intuition is sharp right now, you're picking up on things before they happen, you're reading people and situations with uncanny accuracy. This heightened intuitive ability is part of the powerful thing she cannot interfere with. She cannot block your connection to your own inner knowing. The final card is Eight of Pentacles, and this is the card of mastery through dedication, skill development through consistent effort, and being rewarded for work well done. The Eight of Pentacles shows someone bent over their workbench, carefully crafting something with focus and precision. This is not overnight success. This is not luck or being in the right place at the right time. This is earned achievement through dedication and skill building. Pisces, what's coming to you is recognition and reward for work you've been putting in consistently, maybe work that others haven't even noticed you doing because you've been doing it quietly without fanfare. The Eight of Pentacles is telling me that your skills are reaching a level of mastery that's about to open significant doors for you. Whether this is in your career, in a creative pursuit, in your education, or in developing yourself personally, you've been showing up and putting in the work, and that's about to pay off in tangible ways. This card often appears before promotions, certifications, commissions, or opportunities to showcase your skills to a wider audience. The universe is acknowledging your dedication. You didn't give up when things got hard. You didn't cut corners. You kept refining your craft, whatever that craft might be, and now you're at a level where people are going to start taking notice of what you can do. What's particularly powerful about the Eight of Pentacles in this reading is that it represents something this woman cannot interfere with because it's based on actual skill and competence. She can't take away what you've learned. She can't diminish abilities you've genuinely developed. She can't prevent people from recognizing quality work when they see it. This is not about popularity or politics or who you know. This is about what you can do, and you can do it well. The Eight of Pentacles also suggests that opportunities are going to come to you specifically because of your reputation for quality and reliability. People are going to seek you out. They're going to want to work with you, learn from you, hire you, collaborate with you, and these opportunities won't come through manipulation or networking games. They'll come because your work speaks for itself. Because when you commit to something, you do it right. Because people can trust that when they come to you, they're going to get excellence. I'm also getting with this card that some of you are in the process of building something, maybe a business, a body of creative work, a professional reputation, and you're doing it brick by brick, piece by piece. It might feel slow sometimes. You might look at others who seem to be rising faster with less effort. But the Eight of Pentacles is assuring you that the foundation you're building is solid. What you're creating is going to last. Fast success built on weak foundations crumbles. Slow, steady building based on real skill and genuine value, that creates empires. This woman watching you cannot replicate what you're doing because she doesn't have the patience or the dedication. She wants instant results. She wants recognition without putting in the work. She wants success without the sacrifice and discipline it requires. And watching you succeed through genuine effort and skill development is torture for her because it highlights everything she's unwilling to do herself. So Pisces, let me bring all of this together for you. You have someone in your orbit who is absolutely consumed with jealousy towards you. She's watching your life, resenting your joy, hoping for your failure. But here's what's happening that she cannot prevent and cannot interfere with. You're evolving, you're growing, you're developing real skills, genuine wisdom, emotional maturity, and inner strength. You're becoming someone who other people naturally gravitate toward for guidance and support. You're building something real and lasting through dedication and authentic effort. The powerful thing coming to you that she cannot stop is not one single event. It's a convergence of your inner development, your skill mastery, and the universe's recognition of the work you've been doing. It's opportunities that match your actual level of competence and wisdom. It's people entering your life who see and appreciate your authentic self. It's a reputation being built on substance, not performance. It's doors opening because you're genuinely ready to walk through them. Her jealousy cannot touch this because it's not based on luck or external factors she could somehow sabotage. It's based on who you've become through your own efforts and experiences. And while she's been busy resenting you and hoping for your downfall, you've been busy actually improving yourself and your circumstances. The gap between you is widening, not because you're trying to compete with her, but because you're focused on your own path while she's distracted by obsessing over yours. The Tower energy around her means this obsession is going to cost her dearly. She's already in the process of a collapse that's entirely of her own making, and you don't need to do anything about it. You don't need to confront her or prove anything or even acknowledge her existence. The universe has its own way of handling people who operate from such toxic places, and that way is to let them experience the natural consequences of their choices. Your job, Pisces, is simply to keep doing what you're doing. Keep developing your skills. Keep doing your inner work. Keep showing up with authenticity and dedication. Keep being adaptable and maintaining your balance as you juggle life's demands. Keep sharing your light and wisdom with those who genuinely appreciate it. Keep being emotionally mature and compassionate while also honoring your own boundaries and needs. The rewards are coming, and they're going to be even better than you're imagining because they're going to match who you're becoming, not who you used to be. This reading has shown me someone who's on the verge of really stepping into their power, not through aggression or competition, but through genuine mastery and authentic growth, and that's the most unshakable kind of power there is.